I still remember the way my dad looked at me that morning, like I was a child pretending to play soldier, not a trained medical officer who had worked day and night to earn her place. He stood there in my living room, his arms crossed, his eyes filled with quiet disappointment. "So, what exactly do you do in the military?" he asked. His tone wasn't curious, it was dismissive. "I save lives, Dad," I said softly. "I'm part of the medical response team." He let out a breathy laugh, the kind that stings more than a slap. "So, you're basically a glorified nurse?" That word, glorified, cut deeper than he could ever understand. He didn't say it with pride or affection. He said it like I had chosen the smallest dream possible. I tried to shake it off. I tried to remind myself that he didn't understand the world I lived in, the pressure I faced, the nights I stayed awake, praying a patient would hold on until sunrise. But still, his words echoed inside me. For years, my dad had imagined a different life for me, a respectable office job maybe, a clean desk, a safe routine, not dust, chaos, and blood, not danger, not sacrifice. But I loved my work. And yet, on that morning, standing in front of him, I felt smaller than I had in years. He picked up my uniform jacket from the chair and shook his head. "You're smart enough to do more than this," he murmured. "Why throw your life away?" "Throw my life away." Those words burned, but instead of arguing, I swallowed the pain and forced a smile. "Dad, maybe one day you'll understand." He didn't reply. He just walked past me, leaving a silence so heavy it felt like the walls were absorbing it. That was the day I realized something painful. No matter how many hours I worked, no matter how many lives I saved, no matter how much I sacrificed, my own father would never see me as enough. Or at least that's what I thought. Because what I didn't know that day was that a single moment, just weeks later, would change everything. A moment that would expose the truth so clearly that even he couldn't deny it. It was supposed to be a routine assignment, a security convoy, a short trip, nothing dramatic. The desert wind was harsh that morning, carrying sand like tiny shards that stung the skin. But missions don't wait for perfect weather. I was part of the medical team attached to the convoy. 3 vehicles. Standard protocol, but halfway through the route, something felt off. The radio crackled, static, then a warning, then a blast. Not close enough to injure us, but close enough to shake us. The lead vehicle veered slightly, and everyone tensed. My heartbeat pounded like it was trying to break through my armor. "Stay alert!" someone shouted. Moments later, our vehicle jerked to a stop. A man stumbled out of the second car, blood running down his arm, soaking his sleeve. But what froze my breath wasn't him. It was the man inside the damaged vehicle, a high-ranking officer, a man everyone respected, a man whose decisions shaped lives far beyond the desert we stood in. His breathing was uneven, his pulse unstable, his leg was crushed beneath twisted metal. All eyes turned to me, not my commanding officer, not the soldiers around me. I didn't think. I moved. My hands worked faster than my thoughts, stabilizing his airway, stopping the bleeding, checking for internal injuries. The heat, the dust, the tension. Everything else faded. There was no room for fear, only precision, only duty. At one point, his eyes fluttered open, just for a second. And in that second, I saw fear, raw, human fear. "It's okay," I whispered. "I'm right here. Stay with me." Minutes felt like hours, but finally we managed to extract him safely and call for evacuation. When the helicopter lifted him away, I felt my knees tremble, not from weakness, but from the weight of what had almost happened. That night, alone in my room, I replayed the day over and over. The pressure, the responsibility, the possibility of failure, and then my dad's words replayed too, a glorified nurse throwing my life away. For the first time, I let myself cry, not from fear, not from exhaustion, but from the ache of knowing that even if the entire world saw value in my work, my own father didn't, but everything changed 48 hours later. When I walked into the base hall for the debriefing session and saw the most unexpected sight, the officer, the one whose life I had saved, stood there, not just recovering, waiting for me. And what happened next is something I will never forget. He walked toward me slowly, still limping but standing tall. Every soldier in the hall stepped aside, watching him cross the room. I froze. He extended his hand, not for a handshake, but to take mine. And then, in front of the entire room, he lifted my hand and kissed it gently, a gesture of gratitude so deep it made my breath catch. "Because of you," he said softly, "I am alive." The hall fell silent. I felt my throat tighten, but I stood as straight as I could. "I just did my job, sir," I whispered. "No," he said. "You did far more. You gave me back my family, my future, and I will never forget that." Applause erupted around us, loud, thunderous, echoing off the walls. But the moment that truly broke me was when I noticed someone standing near the back of the hall. My father. He had arrived unexpectedly that morning for a scheduled visit, and he had witnessed everything. His face, the disbelief, the shock, the pride he struggled to hide, said more than any words ever could. When the ceremony ended, he approached me slowly. His eyes looked different, softer, almost ashamed. "I had no idea," he whispered. "I didn't say anything. I couldn't." He swallowed, struggling to find the right words. "I always thought I knew what success looked like, what safety looked like, what a good life meant." His voice cracked. "But today, watching him honor you, I realized you're braver than I ever was." For the first time in years, he embraced me, not the half-hearted hug of obligation, but a tight, trembling one, the kind that says I'm sorry without saying it. And in that moment, I felt something inside me heal, not because he finally saw my worth, but because I no longer needed his approval to believe in myself. Still, hearing him whisper, "I'm proud of you, sweetheart," was a closure I didn't know I needed. Revenge didn't come from anger. It came from truth, from standing firm in who I was, even when he couldn't see it. And in the end, the truth exposed everything.